Hi guys, this is Eve from ELEGOO 3D Printing. In order to find more case in realizing 3D printing, we'd like to Vanilla Castle in Portugal. Hi guys, let's introduce João, the senior designer. We are so glad to invite him as our studio tour in Europe. And João, could you just give us some introduction about yourself and your studio?
Yeah, sure, Yves, and welcome again to be here. I am 34 years old. My graduation, it's in product design. I'm based out of Portugal, and this is my studio.
Wow, amazing.
Basically, I'm specialized in furniture design. I was working for a company not so many years ago, but then during COVID, I decided I wanted to do something different, something more personal, and I started the studio to solve some users' needs. And yes, you can see a
That's
couple
all
of
of
them
you.
here. Yes, just a product designer taking the user needs into consideration. So I have a very functional approach in my designs, but I also like them to be aesthetically pleasing. So it's a nice balance, and I think that this is probably the key element that made the studio to grow and to be loved by so many followers.
Wow, it's incredible. So you are a award designer. There are so many awards you may have. Could you just tell me more about them?
Yeah, sure. I think just one here in the studio, which is the piano desk. And yeah, I have to say I was lucky enough to be able to collaborate with brands around the globe. And yes, they saw the piano desk that I've personally designed, because back in the days I had personal projects that were basically just 3D modeled and rendered. So I didn't have the physical product that I have now, because I have help for the machines like the Neptune 4 Max. And they saw this design and they really liked it. And they asked what I was planning to do with it. And they made a licensing proposal. And for me, it was like a one-time opportunity, and I decided to take it. I had these images, but it was digital work, and a lot of things that we realized that weren't working as good as they should. So they remade some details of the table, of the desk. And when we thought it was perfect, we applied for a IF Design Award.
Wow.
We won it back in 2022.
Wow.
It's one, if not the biggest design award when it comes to industrial and product design. So it was wonderful news.
Yeah.
I'm proud of the job that the company did. Now we still work on concepts. So this was different. They licensed the design. Now they give me briefings so I can work on their needs. And yes, this is a perfect example. This one and the Tokyo bench that we are going to see as well. These are perfect examples of how multifunctionality really blends in today's living. So the idea with this one was to have a workspace, so a very simple workspace, and we could have a cable management that was hidden. So it's very aesthetically, you just put all of the plugs you have, you connect, you plug everything. It can be a mess because it will be hidden in the management section. The name is inspired by the way piano players play their notes. So they have the piano and they put their notes in front of them. So the idea was to have something that could assist you during the work. And yeah, it's very playful because you have different colors for the tabletop, for the legs. So you can go with a full white version, or you can go a rainbow version if it's your thing. It's made for users, and users have specific needs. We try to accommodate most of them with this design to be used or usable by a lot of people. Let's say it's a tiny desk that's full of functionality.
Yeah.
And the same with Tokyo. The Tokyo bench, it's the perfect piece. I think that even now makes more sense after COVID. When I design furniture or products, this is my first worry. And my first approach is to have these designs based on user needs. So
Yeah, that's the most important thing.
Sometimes people might think I'm a psychopath sometimes when I'm alone on the airport, because I'm always looking
Like
at
observing.
everyone,
Okay.
observing what they are doing, what they're struggling with. And then when I go and back from the trip, I do some design work, trying to improve and to bring these perceptions to the work. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you. And I just seen all this work built by yourself, right? Could you just have some introduction of your work?
Yeah, sure. We can start with the Delicato tray. So as I mentioned earlier, the multifunctionality is something that makes sense for me. But in order for it to make sense, it needs to be useful multifunctionality. So when you get home, you put some
Put
coins,
some coins or put
and
your
you put
keys.
your keys,
Yeah.
and you just light up a candle, and you give this cool environment around the house when you arrive. At the same time, I decided I wanted something aesthetically pleasing, so I went for this ripple effect inspiration that you can see almost like a drop of water fell here and create this effect. And this is something very common in my line of work, that you see a lot of curves and very organic shapes. And this is due because I have this, let's say, obsession with the ocean. Why is it my comfort zone and my inspiration source?
Wow.
But yes, this is the first one. This was built or materialized entirely here in the studio. We have other designs, like, for example, we have the track wooden tray. I needed something to be in front of me and to have like the phone to be displaying the notifications or to be near me so I could see. Its name is track because it was inspired by these car racing tracks, you know, that are for kids. And I was an addict, by the way, with those. I was always building and creating this.
Wow, so you can just move that?
And it's nice because it's a modular piece, so you can have more pieces.
Yeah.
If you want, let's say, a more vertical alignment, so you don't want this in front of you, you want it more to the right or more to the left, this would be a nice configuration. Like on the car tracks, you know? No matter what position you put the pieces, you can still take full functionality or full use of it. And yes, then we have one of the most recent ones as well.
For this lamp,
the
right?
drop table lamp. So this was the first prototype. I used the ELEGOO Neptune for Max to get this model. And yeah, you can see it's fully 3D printed. So I want the designs to be multifunctional, but they shouldn't look like very hard to use, okay? They should be self-explanatory. You just look at it and you know it's a lamp, and you can make use for this to put some stuff. So let's
like
say you
coins,
want to put some
right?
USB drivers, some coins, some smaller objects that you are using constantly around the office, and you are constantly losing them. You don't know where you put them.
Wow.
So now you have a spot to put them. This is called drop because, like the Delicato, this was inspired by the ripple effect. So let's say that a drop hits this part, and the ripple effect creates this wavy and nice shape, which is also cool because it's something that you are able to explore in 3D printers. You know, these organic shapes, they are very easy to get on a 3D print. You just have to calculate properly the angles, so you don't have support. So this prints without any support.
Yeah, it's quite useful. You know, like for me, actually, I usually forgot something, so it's quite useful, especially if I put it in my bedroom, you know, like, and so actually I'm curious about like there are so many curves in your design. I think maybe this is one of your signature design, right? So like how you combine the 3D printing in your creative work, because you just mentioned like the angle or like some stuff. Could you just explain us about like how you combine the work?
So yes, thank you for first of all realizing
Yeah,
and
it's really great.
noticing that the curves are part of my design approach, because it's true. I mean, ocean, it's an inspiration, it's my comfort zone, and I always try to translate these curves, not just in terms of visual feeling, but also in terms of movement. So these are pieces that you can move, like the waves. You can put stuff, take stuff out, so they are useful above all. All of these curves, and especially the precision in which the elements connect to each other in a very seamless way. Like you can see that there is basically no gap.
Yeah.
Everything feels smooth.
Yeah, it's so
a nice
perfect.
transition.
Yep.
And for example, if I didn't have, let's say, the Neptune formats from ELEGOO, this wouldn't be possible, especially on the precision that because this needs to be removable so that users swap the bulb if it's broken. And yes, I have to design a custom thread for this tray to connect to the diffuser. And the ELEGOO really made a credible job. Sometimes people think that 3D printers do everything that you want, and it's not entirely false, but also not entirely true. And if you want something so smooth like this diffuser and print in a speedy or the fastest way possible, you need to avoid supports. On the ELEGOO, you can print bigger pieces at once. So this diffuser, it's not the greatest examples, but I can then lay down all of these other pieces in a huge table. So you calibrate the machine once and you're good to go. And yes, with this one, I need to avoid the supports. I needed to calculate the angles and the thicknesses. So I would have the lines, the slicing going perfectly smooth. So this is quite in the limit. So it's very, let's say, very close to the limit angle. And yeah, I mean, my Neptune formats did it great.
So you just mentioned that you use 3D printing to build the final work. So is there any other ways to like use 3D printing in the full working progress?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there are plenty of ways that you can use 3D printers that will help you. At least they help me. The ELEGOO Neptune Max, it's a very close friend that I have now here in the office. It really is, and but it's not just the only way. I mean, I have here some pieces.
Oh.
So
This is
about
the
it. Drop the Delicato tray and candle holder. So the multifunctional piece.
So
and
this
you
is
can
the
see
mold,
that
right?
This is the mold that I've designed. I 3D printed it, and I made on the piece that the final piece that I wanted. I used some 2-in-1 spray, which is a primer and a filler. So to fill these lines, what I did, I just sanded and used the spray, then sanded, use the spray, and you repeat this process until you are happy. But yeah, you can see that this was all 3D printed. Look how massive this piece here is, for example. This wouldn't be possible to print on a regular size 3D printer, for example.
It's so big.
And this is how it goes. So I just added some threaded inserts in here, which is a great way to add functionality for your pieces, for your molds. You pour the silicone, and like the French say, voila, you know, you have the final piece. And this is not perfect because this was one of the first trials. This is a nice example. So it's not a final piece, but it's a lot of work that you can do on the 3D printing to help you and to assist you to create ways of achieving tangible designs or making designs possible. We have other examples, like, for example, you can use 3D printing. Let's say that you have a hole to drill in one piece that you created, and it's a very specific piece that you have, and a very specific hole in a very specific position. So everything is very custom made, right? Instead of using cardboard or other sloppy materials, let's say, this is just a perfect example of how you can also use 3D printing for immediate needs. So I needed this at the moment, immediately, and I just 3D printed very quickly. So this is an hour print.
Wow,
kind
quite
of stuff.
interesting. Wow.
It's very easy to get the job done.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people used to say.
Yeah, it's funny, and it seems like you just like use 3D printing to custom most of your tools. That's really interesting.
Yes,
and
it's exactly that. Custom tools. I
wow.
wouldn't say better. Yes.
Okay, so like I think most of your work or like most of the tools are like built by our Neptune for Macs. Like, could you share some experience with it?
Yes, I mean, the Neptune for Macs, the experience has been great. You can see from the office, from the studio, that currently I have a few machines available. So from laser engraving and cutting, I have CNC available, 3D printers. On the one hand, 3D printers are the most convenient ones and the most easy to operate. I mean, even for the mind, it's very easy of mind, and without being keeping an eye to see if everything don't burn anything, don't break anything. It's nice because the learning curve, it's very fast. So you just need to learn how to calibrate this to have the perfect results in the end. The ELEGOO Neptune for Macs, and it still is one of the most useful machines here.
Yeah.
Especially for its volumetric build volume, its dimensions.
Yeah, because I just saw you always like build some huge lamp or like some large furniture. So I
Yes.
think the build size is quite suitable to you, right?
Yes. On regular size printers, you have to print multiple parts and then glue it, and then it doesn't fit and you have to sand it, and then you have to reprint it, and it's a lot of work. And with the ELEGOO Neptune for Macs, I think one of the biggest advantages and one of the main reasons I got one in the office was really to print huge pieces, no matter final piece or just model supportive material, was to have the single piece straight out of the printing machine.
Okay. So I believe there is a huge improvement when because I mean the difference between you own the Neptune 4 Max or like you doesn't have it. So could you just expand more about like the difference to us between like you have it or you don't have it?
I mean, the difference is exactly that.
Yeah.
If you have it, you create stuff. If you don't have it, you don't create that much stuff.
Or maybe it's too hard, a little bit complicated for you like to run the work in progress. I mean, like, I'm not sure because I'm just asking you.
Without a 3D printer, the difference of having and not having, it's the difference of making something or not making something.
Wow.
So it's a huge difference. You could just quickly 3D model it, save it to a pen, or even send it wirelessly, and it's printing. And you just wait a second, grab some coffee. I mean, nowadays it's a no-brainer to have a 3D printer laying around the office, because it's like I've told you, when you have an immediate need, when you need to solve an issue or to create a custom-made piece, you just need to have them here. It's affordable to have them. It's fast to get you to how to use, to learn how to use the machine.
Yeah.
And it's even faster nowadays because they are very fast machines. The Neptune for Macs, considering its size and the amount of precision that you get from the pieces, the speed, it's right on point, at least for my needs.
That's
done.
cool. That's cool. And you just mentioned, because I think it's really interesting, because I heard you just mention like sometimes when you just use your CNC machine, you should be careful or keep an eye on it. So
Yes.
yeah, just hope it didn't burn your house or apartment. But like, what about the stability of our Neptune 4 Max? Is it stable? Like, and yeah, could you just share more information or like the experience about the stability?
Yes, for now, and the use that I've been having with the machine, the stability, it's right on point as well. So I haven't found any major issues. Sometimes you have to just calibrate slightly more if you want very precise piece. And if you are, especially if you are printing a huge piece, so big dimension piece, it's important that you make this fine-tuning calibration. It's very easy, very straightforward. And it's important because with the full auto, although they should exist and they are very useful, and the ELEGOO 4 Max, the stability, it's like I've told you, right on point.
Yeah. Okay, thanks for your presenting. And could you share more details about the work? I mean, like, could you share more consideration or like advice for like young designer who want to go into this industry? I mean, yep.
I mean, if you are mentioning about some suggestions, some considerations regarding the 3D printing specifically, yes, I mean, there are a lot of considerations. But first of all, I will just briefly explain you how I made it. I first used Blender to create an organic shape, and then I make the transition to the CAD software. So the CAD software, it's important so you can have more precision on the thicknesses, the heights of the modeling that you are creating, the position for the holes. So you know that from that software, you can then export the perfect STL or step file to use and to print on the Neptune 4 Max. The most challenging part here is that you have to think where you want the silicone to flow. In the future, you will have to create one. And the idea of having silicone molds is that you can repeat that process. Just take your time. I mean, we are not in a hurry. If you are talking about product design development, you need to think about what you are doing, not just about the concept. It's because otherwise you are just creating another product that will probably go in the trash and the landfill. So you have to think carefully what you want to create. If it's going to be useful, this is the first step. You have to design the final product, and you have to design thoughtfully the mold parts, the mold pieces. And I mean, with drop, it's different because there you have the final piece design. So here you don't have to.
I think you may have a lot of consideration because it's building the final one and it's functional, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the thing about 3D printers. You have to embrace the technology and the look of that technology, how it prints. You have to embrace it and and just launch the product as it is. But you can make some adjustments, not have a lot of work in sanding and painting and still want this final design piece. For example, to create this piece, I can tell you that I divided these 3D parts in two because I wanted these lines to be perfect. I didn't want the monotonic line, but the monotonic line was perfect for this part here. So yeah, this is something to consider when you want the final design to be printed without extra work, without sanding. You can have these adjustments. So you can use different layer thickness, layer height, different nozzles. You can print in different temperatures, which will make a big impact on the speed. My suggestion would be for young designers or people just getting to being introduced in 3D printing, just give it a try. Try a lot. Make a lot of mistakes. PLA, it's not that expensive, especially if it comes from ELEGOO,
Yeah.
which I think it's one of the most affordable and high quality filaments on the market. And I'm not biased on that, trust me. And yes, I mean, it's what I would have to say regarding these two designs.
Yeah, thank you. And so you just mentioned like the Neptune 4 Max. Would you like to share some advice to us? Like maybe you want some improvement of the printers, or like see some trendy or like suggestions into the 3D industry to like design work combined with related to the furniture. Do you have any device? I mean, or like yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to combine the 3D printing with furniture, you can make a lot of stuff. I mean, I have on my desk a lot of accessories like 4 coat hangers that I've printed a specific piece for my office chair, a backpack holder for my desk that it's custom made. I have an accessory that I created, which is a MagSafe holder that you can charge your phone or your AirPods, and it goes just in the arm of my monitor arm. It stays there and it rotates, has the angle, adjustable angle. So this would be perfect for this kind of scenario. So you can add these mods. Let's say it's some mods that you can upgrade your furniture, your existing furniture. And regarding the Neptune 4 Max, my suggestions would be always make sure that the plate is clean. It's important to have the filaments always dry. So I use a filament dryer and I put the spool in there. So I make sure that if it's a 16-hour print, I know that the temperature for that filament is just right. This extra minute that you are spending on calibrating and making everything right, just like the flow rate, it will do 2 things for you and for your prints. It will help you learn more about 3D printing and what these terms means. So when you have a mistake or you have something that you don't like, you know which setting you have to change. This is important to know the language. You know, if you go to the UK, better to speak in English. Otherwise, people won't understand anything you are saying.
So, like, do you have any feedback for us? I mean, like, I'm not sure because whether when you just go into like print some furniture work, is there any problem or like some feedbacks you want to share with us?
Yes, small upgrades that I did on my machine, for example, was to replace the original springs that came, these metallic springs. I have this recently in the office, the Neptune 4 Max, and already has a lot of printing hours. And when this is the case, when you know that you have the full day of printing and printing, you can expect that these springs sometimes they are more easily softened by the heat, and they might make you want to recalibrate the manual leveling more often. So I replaced those for silicone springs, which tend to hold it better.
Do you think 3D printing is a trendy tool or technology like used in the furniture design, like especially for prototypes? Because you know, like the first one is 3D printing is like have a lower price, you know, than other machine. So and you can just build your creative work in your house or in your studio. It's quite easy and it's not that big, especially for the customer level. And the second thing is like when you just use some wooden tools, there are so many ways. But as for the 3D printing, it's not that much. So I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a great question, definitely. And it's one of those things that it's always you take for granted and you don't think about the advantage of 3D printing. Obviously, for woodworking, I mean, it's like you said, there are plenty of ways to make things, but this will require plenty of tools. That will require plenty of investment. If you want to make things easier and affordable, if you want to get started right away, the Neptune 4 Max, it's extremely affordable. I mean, you can print furniture in here. You have 48 centimeters of height. It's a low investment. You can use it in the studio to create final designs, but you can use it in the house if you have a need, and you don't have to be an expert. It's also good that you don't have to 3D model it. You just go and you search on, there are plenty of websites. You just download that piece, send it to the machine, and you are printing it. And yeah, the maintenance, it's very low. No extra accessories, just the filament. PLA, you have already carbon materials, carbon-based materials. You have flexible materials. You have sparkling materials, glossy, matte. You have glowing materials. I mean, the possibilities are endless. Neptune for Max is no exception. It's a nice blend between the industrial bulkiness, but you can see the amount of detail in the color, in the smooth surfaces, the screen, it's great. Sometimes they are available for free. Most of them are available for free. And this is a new way of having designer pieces at your home that you were part of the process. So I've designed the piece. I'm an award-winning designer. I'm not the most famous designer by all means, but I'm a good designer, I think. And I have a lot of followers. Now followers know that they can download some functional pieces and print them on their machines, on their own. So it's very affordable, and I think it's one of the things that made 3D printing become so trendy.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Actually, you just mentioned like you want to send your users, or maybe some of your followers can just download your files. So are you going to upload your files like in some website?
Yes, I mean, I will definitely be doing that. There are plenty of designs that I have, like the backpack holder, the MagSafe holder, all of these small designs that I did, that I modeled to improve my daily routine here, but also some of them in home, like napkin holders and some organizers. For these kind of designs, I will definitely have them available on the platforms and on my own website for free. So you are getting them free models, they are getting you free publicity. So it's a win-win, I would say.
Okay. And I think there's another question at here is, actually next year is our 10th anniversary, you know. So do you have any suggestions to us, or like any words you want to say to us? I mean,
I just want to congratulate you, and
thank you.
I wishing 10 more to come, obviously, to keep doing and to keep pushing the limits and the boundaries. I mean, the Giga, I saw it when it was launched, and I was like, whoa, how can you get this price range, this affordability with a machine this size? I mean, when I saw the Neptune for Max and when I tried it, it's the prints that you get out of that, they are massive. And then comes this machine, the Giga, which is 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter or something like that. And if the next 10 years are supposed to bring this innovation and these pushing forward kind of machines, I think it's going to be great and a great future expecting from ELEGOO. So again, congratulations to the entire team. You guys have been doing a great job.
Thank you.
ELEGOO.